you're all coming back on super quick because we are going to be sharing more stuff and we'll be sugar pasting as well. I hope you've had a nice break and a bit of spot of something to eat. There's been crumpets galore in this kitchen. It smells lovely. Just before we get into the sugar pasting, I just wanted to share this with you because Carol will be coming on and unveiling this later. This is something that her and Karen did earlier today. It is the buttercream version of the kit. So same kit, but using buttercream instead of ganache. And I don't know if you can see that there. I've got some lovely sprinkles in with the buttercream as well, which is going to be amazing. So it's cold at the moment because it's been sitting in the fridge. So
we've done two.
Yeah, there's two. So you're going to be unveiling one this afternoon.
Yeah, we did one.
Tonight.
I wanted to show. Do you want to go and get the other one out of the freezer?
In this one?
Yeah. So this is just with buttercream, and what we've done is we've done one with the foam and one without the foam.
It's cold in there.
Yeah, it is cold in there. So we've done one with the foam and one without the foam, and this is where we think the missing foam is. We think Rachel's. And you'll see my lid isn't on there properly because I used Sweet Success cakes and buttercream, and then I had 3 layers in one, and this one I said to Karen, oh, you know what, I'm going to squash another layer on.
Do you want me to leave this one out? Because
Yeah,
you're going to be working on
You
that
went
one.
for it, didn't you, Karen?
So we'll pop back in.
Yeah.
So we've got a good audience coming back now. We're up to 184 now, so that's not too bad. I've pinned it to the top, so they should all find it all right.
Amazing. So I'll pop that one out because we're going to be doing something with that in a little bit. So back to this. So this is one of the milk chocolate ones. I know it's confusing. So we just did white chocolate before. We've got the dark chocolate ones behind that were from a couple of weeks ago that I did at home, just having a play when the kit first arrived. So we're going to cut into those so you can see the thickness of the chocolate. Because that's one with the foam, one without the foam, so you can see those. We're going to do that afterwards, but we've cleaned down, so we're going to do the clean bit first of sugar pasting. And we're going to do this milk chocolate one. So this is the one where we cut the cake down using the PMA cutters. So it was a 6-inch cake. We trimmed it down. I think it was like 5.5 inches or something, wasn't it? And then we've used the liner in a 6-inch tin, so you can see the ganache ends up being flush with the board here. And you can still see the board at the bottom. When we cover it with sugar paste, you're not going to see any of that. Okay? So, I'll pop that
Rachel's
to one
doing
side.
this one because we're going to donate it to Seashell Trust.
So, we are working with sugar paste. So, if you didn't see the sugar paste live that we did, I think it was end of January now, you can watch this one and go through it. So, we're just using some massa, is it Ticino or Ticino? I never know how to say. My age-old problem of not knowing what things are called. So last time when we did the live, we did, I think we did one with the Renshaw and one with the, what was the other brand that we'd used? It was the
Platinum Select.
Platinum that I'd never used before, and that was good. So
I've got
yeah,
no Platinum Select in at the moment. I need to speak to them because now shipping from Southern Ireland is very difficult, and because it comes on a pallet, I just need to know what the cost is going to be.
So keep your sugar paste in like a Ziploc bag, keep it properly wrapped, and what we're going to do is just start off by conditioning the sugar paste. So we're not putting anything on the worktop here other than a little bit of Trex. So if you're in the UK, it's Trex. If you're in a different country, it might be shortening.
So my pink board.
The Trex will just make the sugar paste more pliable, and it will give you longer to work with it once you come to start.
Have you picked up your grey board yet?
No, I paid the balance of it the other day, but yeah, I think I want to order some more stuff, so I'm waiting to put another order in, and then I can just collect it all at once.
Also, when you come back and do the live tonight,
Jeez, honestly, the temptation, the temptresses in this kitchen. So I'm just kneading it like you would do dough. Obviously, it's a lot firmer than dough. Different sugar paste will be different firmnesses.
Yeah.
Not a word either. But you'll find that between the different brands, some of them are quite soft when you go to knead them. The Massa one is one of the firmer ones. It's a great sugar paste to work with, especially if you're wanting like the sharp edges, because when you roll it out and you put it over your cake, as some of you might have experienced before, you might have had tearing at this top edge. It's really good for like not doing that, basically, which means that if you've got taller cakes as well, it's great for that.
Can I just check? Can everybody hear? Because Maureen Bailey can't hear. She says the sound has gone. So I just want to check that everybody else can hear. Nobody else is saying anything at the moment. So I feel it just might be you, Maureen. Maybe come out of the act. Oh, but it's no good me saying it because you can't
No.
do it.
Should we drop it to write it down and I'll hold it up?
Can somebody write Maureen a message? Tell her come out the app, turn off her phone and come back in again. Or turn the sound on.
Switch it back on again.
Yeah, everybody else is saying they can hear, so that's
good.
fine. Yeah.
And Jill cooks and it's fine on YouTube.
And it's fine on
Yes.
YouTube, so we're fine. Hi, Jill. So, yeah. So, sorry, Maureen, you can't hear me. Can somebody let her know what I'm saying?
Maureen, this is a message for you. So, because this is one of the more firm sugar pastes, to kind of save your wrist, what I would advise is that you just, when you open a block, it is a little bit stiff, so I just cut it up into smaller manageable pieces rather than trying to just go straight in and knead the whole lot, which really can, like, if you're covering like a whole wedding cake, it can get a bit tough on your wrists and your arms, and it is a bit of a workout. But so I just cut it up into smaller bits, and then once they're a bit more pliable and softer, but you mustn't skip this step. This will help release whatever's in the sugar paste that kind of makes it go stretchy. So the difference between a conditioned sugar paste, which will stretch nicely, to this, which just snaps. So that's the difference, okay? That's what you're wanting to achieve. If you try and just roll that out without it being conditioned and kneaded and softened and made pliable, A, it will be a nightmare to roll out, and B, it'll be a nightmare to finish off actually getting the edges and the finishing you want on your cake. So don't skip this step.
So, quick question. Can we just ask, what was the ratio of white chocolate and cream before?
It was 3-1.
3-1. So, ladies, all the ratios for ganache is actually on Google. I'll see if I can find a template. I'm sure there is one of ratios of chocolate.
Yeah, the
But,
dark chocolate was 2-1.
And a lot of you are asking for what size tin. I don't think we've ever actually broken it down for what size tin. What I can tell you is you can reuse your ganache. So you don't, once you've made it, whatever, if you make extra, pop it in that bottle. You can use it to warm up again later, or you can put it into a container and put cellophane just sat on top of it, and it can sit in the fridge for weeks and weeks. It's done. It's not going to ruin. You can reuse it. And you'll see, if you've been in Ollie's class and if you see Karen chocolate decorating, any cast off chocolate, any chocolate that's left over, all goes in a bowl. It gets melted back down again. So you don't feel that you're wasting any. You're just saving it for next time.
And the good thing about this, the ganaching kit method, is that you're not contaminating what's in your piping bag with cake crumb. So like if you're using like a scraper with ganaching plates and stuff, you're scraping that ganache round the edge, and when you then take that ganache off, there might be cake crumb in it. So any of that contaminated ganache you would have to throw away, whereas this one, it's all self-contained in the piping bag, so you're not contaminating any of that spare leftover ganache, if that makes sense. It's no cake crumb in it, and it's just pure ganache. So we're just conditioning those in sections, and then just go back in and make them into one big bit.
This cake's going to be donated, but the other two cakes that Rachel did prior to the live on the Thursday, when I asked her to get her body up to our warehouse so I could let her have a cake, we're going to cut those open so you can actually see the thickness of the ganache as well. And as Rachel said, it'll be the same thickness as when you use ganache plates. So
if you're using the like 1/2 inch extra ganaching plates like I do, so for a 6-inch cake I would use a 6.5 inch ganaching plate. Then when we measured it the other day, when we were doing it on the live on Thursday, it was working out the same dimensions. So yeah. But if you're not used to using ganache, or if you've never done it before, or if you tend to use a 6.25 inch rather than a 6.5 inch, then it might feel like a lot of ganache to begin with, but it's not. It's kind of standard, really. I know a lot of people use the 1/2 inch ganaching plates. But it's like with anything. If you're doing it for cakes that you're selling, it's just about understanding how much material you are using per cake and making sure that it's costed in properly. So just make sure that you are doing that. Okay, so I'm using quite a bit more sugar paste here than I would. I'm going to cut some of it off. But you always need to use more sugar paste than you physically need to cover the surface area of your cake, and I'll show you why in a minute. We want there to be extra so that we can cut off any excess. but it will make it a lot easier to position the sugar paste properly onto your cake, rather than having to, like when you're lifting it off here and popping it on your cake, having to get it precisely exactly level and even. If you've got some extra, then you've got some room for manoeuvre if you like pop it on slightly off centre. Okay, so once you've conditioned that, I've just tucked that all in. That's then the back, and then this is going to be the front. So this is the nice smooth side. So I'm going to pop that into my Ziploc bag. So again, it's a bit like how we did before with the ganaching. You need to have everything prepped and ready to go. So I've got all your kit, which I'll talk you through now. Pop that to one side. So we've got, go on.
Do you want to tell them about your class?
Yes. So yeah, I'm doing a ganache, a sugar paste class on, I think it's the 12th of April, is it, or the 15th?
It's the 12th.
Okay, thank you.
I can't remember.
We're like, I don't know.
It's the 15th.
It's the Monday, so
19th, then, isn't it?
no, it's not that early.
That's-
It's the
that's
one before.
The
It must be the
before.
12th
It's
then.
the 12th, and that's
So
right.
12th of April is the follow-up class to the one that we did in February, which was the Introduction to Wedding Cakes, which focused on like an entry-level wedding cake situation with buttercream and semi-naked cakes, which was amazing. I had so much fun, and I love, like, so many of you did it and have like contacted me and said how much, you know, you've enjoyed it and have learned from it, which is amazing. But the sugar pasting side of things, I know a lot of people are afraid to use sugar paste. Perhaps you're just more familiar with buttercream and that's your sort of area of comfort, which is absolutely fine. But the thing for me is that sugar paste in cakes gives you such a broader range of opportunity when it comes to decorative techniques. So it's something that I really love teaching. Now, if you've never done it before, or if you have done it and you thought, oh my God, I can't, it just did not work for me, I don't know what the hell you're supposed to do with sugar paste, and you've immediately gone back to buttercream, or if you are used to sugar pasting cakes but actually you just want to improve your skills and perhaps find out a bit more about how I do it, because obviously there's different ways of doing it, then this is the class for you. So I will be packing loads into this class. So we will be sugar pasting. I'll be doing 2 cakes again, but we won't be decorating them. This is all about getting a flawless finish, how to work with sugar paste, the tools to use, and how to do lots of different size and shape of tiers. So I will be doing a 3-tiered cake, which will be a hexagonal marble sugar paste base. So we've got all those angles around the hexagon.
You sent me a picture of a marbled
Yeah.
cake.
because it's quite a popular thing, like marbling and hexagonal. So the geometrics is quite popular, particularly with weddings. You get a lot of couples wanting to incorporate hexagonal
I sent me a
shape.
picture of an hexagonal cake.
My wedding cake 33 years ago was hexagonal.
Was it?
Yes.
Bringing it back, you see, everything comes around again, doesn't it?
Certainly does.
And then on top of that, we'll be doing an extra tall tier. So these are kind of standard size tiers, but we'll be doing an extra tall tier and showing you the rack technique for that. So some of you might have heard of that before, some of you might have tried it before, but I'll be showing you how to do that, how to get rid of the joins, all that kind of stuff, and really get a nice tall middle tier. And again, I'll be talking you through ways from a design point of view where those tall tiers might really come into their own and be useful for you, for your clients. And then we'll be doing a normal covered round top tier, so just the drape method on a round tier. The second cake will be all about square tiers. So I know a lot of people fear the square tiers. I love doing them. I've got a technique for you that will make it super quick and easy, and it's not to be feared. You'll get those sharp edges and those sharp corners, and it's just really simple. So I'm excited to share that with you because we'll use that on the square cakes and on the hexagonal cakes. And it will just demystify a lot of the fears that people might have and a lot of the worries that people might have about sugar pasting cakes. So I'm going to crack on and do this one for now, but we'll also be covering like doweling and stacking, transporting, storage, all of that kind of stuff, and how to actually manage tiered sugar paste cakes. We won't be doing decorative effects on that because that's way more than enough in a day, and we'll pal through it at some speed, but we'll be doing a follow-up class to that which will cover decorative techniques once you've mastered the foundations of actually getting that flawless finish to begin with. Okay?
Actually, another question. So where can they find your recipes?
So you can purchase my recipes. There's a couple of different bundles of recipes collections on my website, which is www.macakecompany.co.uk, and if you go to shop on there, they're all on there. So there's recipe collection 1, recipe collection 2, then there's a bundle that you can buy both together for slightly less. There's also a buttercream and ganache masterclass on there, which is a PDF which gives you loads of different buttercream and ganache recipes and ratios and all the methods and troubleshooting and everything for using buttercream and ganache. But yeah, they're all on the website. And you can come and join my group as well on Facebook, which is the Sugarcraft School with Rachel Hannon.
Right. Good question. Can you flavour fondant?
I never have. You can buy. I think you can buy flavoured fondant, can't you?
Well, we used to sell strawberry. I don't know if we've got any left, but most of the flavourings are vanilla anyhow. And they usually, to be fair, I don't know any sugar paste apart from Supermarket's own that tastes awful. They all taste nice.
Yeah, they do taste different. You can definitely. There are different tastes, and some. It's like with anything else. Some people might prefer one or the other. This one is nice. I personally don't go around eating sugar paste. It wasn't intended. It's almost pure sugar, so it wasn't intended to like be a part of what was eaten. Really, it's really. So stop doing it. But you've had were you not having the marshmallow?
Karen Davis.
Yeah.
I only eat Karen Davis.
Yeah, that's the only one she'll eat.
And our strawberry one I eat.
Yeah. So there are some pre-flavoured ones. I've never flavoured it myself. If you're making your own sugar paste, so some people do make their own, you could obviously add flavouring in as part of that process, or you can just buy one that you personally like the taste of.
Take away the taste of the cake if you start flavouring the sugar paste as well. It's going to take away.
Yeah, it'd have to be complementary, definitely.
Just to clarify, Jill says that strawberry one was yummy.
There you go. You can buy it pre-flavoured, but that is where the flavouring has been added when it's been manufactured. So I don't know how you would necessarily add it retrospectively, if that makes sense.
One quick question: what is your Facebook group called?
It's the Sugarcraft School with Rachel Hannon. That's the group.
There you go, Raswana.
Thank you very much. Okay, so like we were doing before, we want everything ready. So tools, you want them all ready out. You want to make sure you're not having to stop and go, oh, I've not got my smoothers, I've not got my knife, I've not got my rolling pin. You want to get it all out to begin with. So this is what we're going to be using. The pink board, stroking. A rolling pin. So it needs to be of a decent size rolling pin. Don't be trying to use one of the little 6-inch rolling pins, because you will really struggle to get an even thickness on your sugar paste. So make sure, whatever brand or whatever, these are the acrylic ones, aren't they? I don't know. They your brand. They on your website. But you sell these online, don't you?
Not quite as big as that. Ours is 15-inch.
Yeah. So what you don't want to be doing.
20-inch acrylic clear, but can't get any stock at the moment.
Right. The clear ones are actually really nice as well. So you want one that's a decent length, because you don't want to be like with a tiny little rolling pin trying to roll something out. A, it'll take you much longer and your sugar paste will be drying out as you go, but B, you'll struggle to get an even thickness. Okay, you see me using the Trex, so we're using that to condition. We're also going to do a light coating of that on top of the ganache, so that Terry keeps looking at me because I'm not looking at the right camera. You will never not have to do that with me, Terry. I'm always not
Let
looking.
me just say something. So a couple of ladies have said, can you use the flavoured icing sugar for the sugar paste to roll out? You can, but you have to be very careful which paste you're using, because some paste, like I wouldn't use it with masa because it's actually an excellent paste, but if you've got a very soft paste you could use the flavoured icing sugar. But you've got to be very wary when using flavoured icing sugar. You end up, if you put too much in, you'll dry it out and then it'll create elephant skin.
Yeah. So we're not, I prefer using corn flour rather than icing sugar if I am going to use it to roll out.
Oh, do you know what? That's a proper debate, that, isn't
I know.
it?
It's my personal preference.
I get different tutors going on. I'm completely dizzy with it. I'm going to give up.
It is my
Each to your
personal
own.
preference. Yeah, but obviously we're not going to be using it on the pink board anyway because you don't need to. So I'm just going to be popping a little bit on the top of the sugar paste so that my rolling pin doesn't stick to it. But I don't need to be putting any onto this because we've got the pink board, which most of you know, removes the need for it. But we are going to be putting a thin coating of the Trex onto the ganached cake so that we've got that slight tackiness, so that when we put the sugar paste on, that it sticks in place.
Few people are asking what Trex is.
So Trex is just vegetable fat. So you might have heard of it as like shortening, or do you want me to change cameras, Terry? Or, okay. You might have heard of it as shortening, or in America I think the brand is Crisco, but it's all the same stuff. It's just the brand that we have in the UK is called Trex. In the US it's Crisco, but it's just vegetable shortening, so it's just a white vegetable fat. So yeah, that's all it is. It basically, once you pop it into your sugar paste, it will just absorb into the sugar paste, and once you pop it onto here, again, once you put the sugar paste on, it will just absorb into the sugar paste. So you won't have, like when you cut into it, you won't then have like a weird white greasy layer or anything like that, so don't be worrying about that. It just will absorb into the sugar paste, but it in the first instance, it will just kind of create a little bit of gentle tackiness for you to stick the two together and get everything in place and staying where it needs to be. But yeah, it's just a vegetable product, so it's fine. Okay, so other things that we're going to be using. We're going to be using a set of solid smoothers. These are my favourite brand, which I know you guys stock. This is the FMM ones. So the thing I like about these is that they've got a curved edge, but more importantly, it's got this straight edge here. And we'll be using that specifically for a couple of things along the way to basically get the finish we want. So that will be the first set of smoothers that we go around with. And then to finish off, we're using Flexi Smoothers, which I know you've got the brand.
Well, we at Barina's Smoothers, but they're soon going to be called Sugar and Crumbs Smoothers because we bought the brand.
So yeah, so these are, the Flexi Smoothers are brilliant. They really move your cake on from being a good finish to a flawless finish. So they will help you remove any like if you dove it with your fingernail or anything like that, or if you have any bits that are not perfect, they will just help you get rid of any sort of imperfections that perhaps these won't get because they're just sort of covering one very specific area. These you can bend and just get round and shape everything, but also to really perfect that top sharp edge if that's what you're going for. The final thing is which you can't see, it just looks like I'm holding my hand up. I promise you, this is not the Emperor's New Clothes. I have something in my hand. So this is an acupuncture needle. So it's doing the same job as like a scriber tool would, and it's basically going to help us get rid of any air pockets or any bubbles that are in the sugar paste. The difference between using these and a scriber tool is that they are super fine. So they're going to get rid of your bubbles, but they're not going to leave any holes. Like I've used scriber tools for years when I first started, and you always get left with the odd little hole. Which if you're going for quite a simple cake and you're not putting tons of decorations over it, you can't hide them. So, and if you're a perfectionist, it's really going to bother you. But you can get these off Amazon, and they're reasonably cheap, and they come in like packs of 100 or something. So yeah, just have a look at those if you're wanting to get to that level of no imperfections on your cake. But yeah, you could just use the scriber tool if you wanted. Okay. So before I roll out my sugar paste, I'm going to make sure my cake's prepped as well as having all my tools ready. I'm going to make sure my cake's prepped, and my cake is on something. So I've again got it on one of these bigger ganaching boards, or you could have it on like just a cake board, a spare cake board, but something that you can move around. Okay, so we're not wanting to be having to, once we cover this with sugar paste, we're not wanting to be having to do this to move the cake around. We're wanting to be able to move the cake around to the angle that we want to work on it, so that we're not working at awkward angles without actually touching the cake and putting more sort of finger dent marks in it and stuff. So once you've got it on that, we're going to pop a little bit of Trex on it, and like I say, this will not be like a white visible film of anything when you come to cut the cake. It will just absorb into the sugar paste, which we've already popped a bit into anyway because it's to condition it.
It doesn't taste of anything, does
no.
it? So
it's not flavoured, or it doesn't taste of anything though. It's just yeah, vegetable shortening. So you don't have to put loads on, we're just putting a thin coating, but make sure you get right down to the bottom. We want that bottom bit to stay sort of attached. We don't want it sort of loose at the bottom. Okay, and make sure you get that top edge as well. So this, I think this was the first cake I did with the kit. Yeah, I think it was. And you can, I don't know if you see, there's a few little imperfections on that top edge. I'll move it into place there. There's a little bit missing there where I've not touched it up. We're not going to worry about that because hopefully that will all be covered. Okay. So just get rid of that Trex off your hands and make sure there's no sort of chocolatiness on your hands from touching that. Okay. So we're now ready to go. We've got everything prepped. I'm going to cut some of this off, I think, because we don't need quite that much. It's just going to be extra elbow grease for me to have to roll out. Okay. So remember, any excess you've got, pop it straight back into your Ziploc bag. Have that handy. Okay, and like I said, we're not needing to put anything on here, but if you wanted to, if you were just working on your normal kitchen worktop, you just get a little sugar shaker, flour shaker, pop a little bit of corn flour on. You don't need a ton, and that will help stop it sticking. But you don't need a ton because, like Carol said, the more that you put on there, the more that will pick up into the sugar paste and it will start drying out quicker than you want it to. So I've just got a few little specks, which also always happens, little bits of fluff. So I'm just, go on.
Sorry, do you only use Trex for ganache, or do you use it on your buttercream as well? You know, when you...
With your buttercream you don't need to, because your buttercream is, it has moisture in it already. So with your buttercream you shouldn't need to. So I've rolled it out slightly in one direction. I've turned it 90 degrees. So I've started off with a round shape with my sugar paste because I'm covering a round cake. So whatever shape cake you're starting with, try and start with your sugar paste in that shape before you start. And any little air bubbles that you see forming, just pop a pin in it and keep turning. And we're trying to get an even pressure. So I'm quite used to sort of getting an even sugar paste now, but if you don't, you can use the guides, which I think go to 3 ml guides, aren't they? The sugar paste guides.
Yeah. Want me to show the guides? No, we'll do that in class, can't we?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely showing that in class because we'll use those to do the panelling method, the panel wrap method. But you can see how I'm able to pick the sugar paste up off this board and it's not sticking. And in fact, the rolling pin isn't even sticking. So I've not used any icing sugar or corn flour for this at this stage. So I'm giving my sugar paste the best chance of not drying out. But yeah, if you put on a ton of icing sugar because you're like, oh, I don't want it to stick to the worktop, it won't stick to the worktop, but it will massively reduce the amount of time you've got to work with it and get that finished before it starts sort of crusting over.
Is there usually a shelf life for sugar paste expiry dates?
It'll vary by brand and at what point you buy it, but it's pretty much pure sugar, so it's usually got a really
sugar
good
doesn't go out. Sugar paste doesn't go out of date. It's how you store sugar paste. So if you store sugar paste properly, and that is once you've taken it out of the original packaging and you wrap it up in a Ziploc bag, taking out the air, you should have no problems. If you leave it open to the elements, then you will create parts of it to dry out. But it doesn't have it has a best before date, and basically that means it doesn't go out of date. As Rachel just said yourself, the whole product is mainly sugar, and you'll find any product with sugar in it is fine, it's a preservative. If you have got issues with it, it is the way you've stored it. Do not store wrapped up in cling film, okay? Cling film actually breathes. I don't know whether you're aware of that, but it actually breathes and it will let air in. It doesn't breathe, but it allows air to come in.
It's alive.
Okay?
It's alive.
Watch your cling film packet go.
I knew I could hear somebody in my kitchen all this time. But yeah, I've had sugar paste that's become not usable, but it's because, like how Carol said, I've like chucked it into a tub or something and it's not been properly wrapped, and I've just left it there, and it won't take long for it to become brittle, and yeah, once you've got it like that, it's really difficult to kind of, it's not really usable. So just any offcuts you've got, please just take a minute to just wrap them properly. This is a workout. Look, it's starting to sweat. But if your sugar paste gets to the point when you're rolling it out, like this is now, I wouldn't try and, like before I was just picking it up and moving it. And once it gets bigger and thinner, you want to just pick it up like this and move it around like that. And it will stop it sort of like dragging and stretching out of shape.
bubbles suddenly appear?
It's just because you've kneaded it and there's air in there when there's air gone in there when you've kneaded it, and yeah, it's just as you're then like pushing, like compressing it with the rolling pin, that air kind of has to come out somewhere. So there's those kind of air bubbles, and then there's air bubbles that could form like round the side of your cake and on the top of your cake when you have put the sugar paste on it. And sometimes that can happen a lot if you're working on a really cold cake. So if you take your cake straight out of the fridge and then like it's quite warm in here, it will start to condensate. I'm warm.
It's a bit like before we went live this morning. I was very
You
hot.
were
My
boiling.
stress levels.
That's because you've just been working and I just sauntered in. I was fine.
Rachel is using Massaticino sugar paste, and I'll get my teeth around that one.
I know.
Yeah, to be fair, Karen and I were in early at 8 o'clock this morning, and we were preparing for Terry to come in and set up the equipment so that we could do 2 cakes before this afternoon.
So just run your hand over and you should be able to, if there's any lumps and bumps that you can't see, you might be able to then just feel them and get rid of them at this stage.
When Carol Deborah X White rolls her sugar paste, it's always thicker in the middle. What do you think I'm doing wrong?
You're basically putting more pressure on the edges. So like I'm doing now, she's doing this, but then never making sure that she's like pushing through the middle. So like occasionally you need to do this. So don't always just put the hands like this. You need to also push through the middle, and you will always get then that extra bit. But yeah, and also the other thing is that I see students do is that, so I'm keeping my rolling pin pretty much on the sugar paste, and I see students doing this, like off, and you're going to end up with a look how, on the overhead, look how thin that bit is where I just did that. Look how thin that is compared to the rest of it. So of course you're going to end up with thinner bits at the edge if you're rolling off the end of your sugar paste. So try and stay on your sugar paste, if that makes sense. And then when you're ready, when you think you're about there, just lift up the side like I did there to see visually where you're at. And if you've got a thicker edge on one side than the other, just go and get rid of that. Give it an extra roll. So, and then I'm going to go around with my fingertips and just check that I'm pretty much the same all the way around. Or you could use the spacers, which is why you need, for this side, you need then a big rolling pin so that your spacers here, your rolling pin is still on those spacers. Okay.
A lot of people like the spacers, don't they? I know Greener swears by them. Do you use them all the time?
I've never used them because I've only just got the 3mm ones off you the other week. But I didn't realise, so when I first started, there was another brand of spacers, but they were quite thick and chunky, like too thick for what I wanted. So I bought them, with a million other things that you buy when you start out, and I just thought, well, that's like the thickest sugar paste ever, which a lot of clients don't like. They specifically say we don't want a really thick layer of sugar paste because they're put off by it. So the 3mm ones that I got a few weeks ago in my order, and we're going to use them on the class. So yeah, just go over and check that there's no little bubbles forming, but actually, so this sugar paste I quite like for it. I don't often get a huge amount of bubbles, and you might find that some brands give you more than others. I don't know, but this one is usually quite good.
There's also a way of getting bubbles in your sugar paste as well by the way that you lift and knead. Yeah. So if you want to lift and knead, watch what Rachel did. Do it again. If you stretch it really long and pull it back, you'll get lots of air bubbles in.
So at this point, we're ready to drape it over. So I've got it central, left and right.
Tell them about the pink board. Look how it lifted off that pink board so nicely.
Beautiful. So I've got this even left and right, but you can see there's some overlap, so it doesn't matter if I'm a little bit off. Okay.
And it comes off the grey borders nice as well.
Yeah.
I should hope so, 'cause that's what I ordered.
Cherry Chew's got the grey board.
Has she?
So tell you what, when all the tutors come in here, they use it. Like Georgie Godbold, she wanted one. Because she was one for throwing sugar paste all over once. Icing sugar. I went, Georgie, what are you doing? Stop it. So then she dreamed of having one. Karen Davies wanted one straight away. Jerry Chew, you. Who else has had them? They've all had them. We just can't convince Hannah Singh yet, can we?
No, we've not convinced Hannah. And only the chalk.
So So the first thing we did was secured that top edge because we don't want the weight of this pulling down to start pulling at that top edge and tearing the sugar paste. So I've secured that top edge like about an inch or so all the way around for immediately. Flatten down your top. Now I can feel I've got a bit of air there, which I'll get rid of in a sec. But I can come back to that. That's not time urgent. What I do want to do is get all of this on and attached and in place. So bear in mind, I've been sticking to that where that Trex was. So bear in mind, I've got the plastic board underneath so I can move it without having to put finger marks into the cake. And I'm just going around, fanning out those folds.
Can I just explain to people watching in case they think we've got a really big pink board there? We've got an extra large board and a large board at the side of it. We joined them together so we've got a big work surface.
Because then you can just slide things over and not have to pick them up, and it's a bit quicker. Okay, so can you see this here? That's where my ganache wasn't perfect underneath. So we're going to try and tackle that with the smoothers. So that's why it's important to try and get that foundation on your ganache. So I'm cutting this, don't worry, I'm cutting it onto my ganaching plate, not the board. I'm cutting this excess off, so I'm leaving about an inch around the bottom.
You said you're making it look so easy.
Don't forget I've done hundreds of these over 10 years in, and it's okay. But yeah, it's just, do you know what? I used to panic so much about, I'd roll the sugar paste out and then I would be like, I need to lift it now, I need to lift it and put it on the cake. And I would panic so much and dither and fuss and faff, and you just need to have the confidence to get it on there. So the first thing I'm going to do is go around with these smoothers. So again, you might find that you want to pop a little bit of corn flour onto these, in which case I just have a little bit on the worktop that I can just then dip a little bit in. So I'm not chucking a load on. And get rid of that. There we go, again, I've lost that. That little air pocket that I could feel earlier. I'm just going to push that out, there we go. And sometimes you might think you've got rid of an air pocket, and then 10 minutes later you might feel it again. So just keep that acupuncture needle handy. Got a few tiny little bits here. Sometimes you're not sure if it's an air pocket or just a lump, so I always just give it a quick tap with the needle just in case. So this is a 6-inch round cake, and I would say it's probably what, about 7 or 8 inches tall.
I should take measure for it.
That'd be 7. It's about 7. Just popping a little bit of corn flour on those.
Da-da-da.
So organised, you guys.
Oh, Simon's quite funny about it. He likes to measure everything, doesn't
Just
he?
under 7 inches tall.
So it says, how big's that? And we go, oh, it's about a couple of centimetres. Out comes the tape measure.
Yeah.
And usually we're right anyway.
There's this funny little ones. So what do you think? Now you sugar paste in this with the ganache smooth cake. And it won't make any difference because you can get a smooth edge anyway, can't you? So you won't know the difference.
But you can see here how it's a bit dented, and that's because the ganache layer below on this section wasn't perfect. But I'm going to hopefully show that you can get rid of that. And do you know what? If you end up not being able to get a smooth edge on all the way around your cake, because I have students that do that, and I'm like, okay, that's the bit where the flowers are going to go, or that's the bit, you know, you don't need to. It's not often that you present a cake like just like this. You know, usually it's, like I said, it's the blank canvas on which you then start to add decorations. So you don't need to obsess and worry if you've got like a section that's not as good as the rest. You just make that the bit that you're going to cover with something. Okay, so I'm pulling up with this one and I'm pushing out with this one. Now the amount of force that you're going to have to put on will vary depending upon the thickness of your sugar paste and the brand of sugar paste that you're using, because like I said before, some of them are firmer, some of them are softer. So it's difficult to kind of express how much sort of force you have to put on that. But if you're just doing this and it's not moving anything and it's not changing it from the first sort of curved and state of things to an improved, smoother, sharper state of things, then you need to put more pressure on. If you're pushing too hard and you're getting like a ridge sticking out over the top of your cake, like a ridge of sugar paste, then you're putting too much pressure on and you need to just ease off a little bit. But I see people doing both of those things, and yeah, just be mindful of sort of either of those situations so that you can adjust the pressure that you're putting on. That hopefully makes sense. So I'm just kind of looking from, don't just look from the top, check from the sides. And you need to be doing this in one. Don't be stopping putting the kettle on, like rolling it out, putting it over your cake and then having a cup of tea or having a sit down or answering the door or taking a phone call. It needs to be done. Let them leave a message and call you, and you can call them back when it's done. Because all the while, this sugar paste is starting to firm up again. So you've got a limited amount of time to manipulate it into the sort of space that you want it to, and to get rid of any lumps and bumps before it starts firming up. And the amount of time that you have will depend upon the brand you've got, how much humidity there is in the room when you're doing it. It really does vary. So in summer, it's like a more challenging situation because the air is drier than it is in winter, for example. So yeah, it will vary. You'll find that in summer you'll have a little bit less time to work on it before you can feel it starting to really resist and not want to go where you want it to. Okay, so this is kind of giving our first pass at it and really starting to move the sugar paste up into that sharp edge that we want, and then we'll come back and really kind of cement that with the flexi smoothers afterwards. So I'm using the flat edge of the smoother to just go around the bottom and really start to really make sure that bottom bit is attached and I've got a nice crisp finish to that bottom bit. Okay. Got a little bit of an air pocket there. So before you switch over to your flexi smoothers, so there's no flipping of these cakes. I know sometimes people like the upside down method. I've done the upside down method, and yeah, sure, it gives you a sharp edge. But for me, because I'm doing tiered cakes, and once the cakes get above a certain size and weight, I find it difficult to flip them like myself because the weight of them without sort of it being a bit precarious and me getting all flustered and stressed. Mm-hmm. So I didn't like that with the bigger size tiers. So once you got above like an 8-inch tier, I could struggle to do that. So
it's amazing how heavy cakes are.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Especially, well, my cakes are quite tall, like standard. This is like a standard sized depth of cake for me. So, and some of the tiers are like taller than that. So you can imagine the way it's like, and I'm like, can't do it. And you think this is going to end up on the floor.
How long would you leave a cake out of the fridge before covering it in fondant?
It depends on the temperature of your fridge. So I leave my ganache cakes in the fridge on the lowest setting, so it's not super cold. It's just sort of mild. So I don't want my cake to be really cold. I'm just wanting it to be set, because when you then bring it out of the fridge into your room, if like this room, I think at the moment it's quite warm, but if your room is quite warm, then it's going to sweat. So what you need to do is just make sure you bring it back to room temperature before you try and put the sugar paste on, and that will depend on how cold it is to begin with and obviously the temperature of your room. But this one was out, I don't know how long this was out the fridge. Wasn't that long, was it?
No.
Like I think I took this out the fridge at the beginning of our break, so what, maybe 3/4 of an hour or so, and it's not sweating, but yeah, obviously if you'd had it in a really cold fridge and it was a really super warm room, then once it starts to sweat, the moisture will sweat through the sugar paste, and the sugar paste will start to become a bit tacky, which at that point you're on a hide into nothing really, because these will literally be sticking to it and pulling at it. Okay, so we're going to the flexi smoothers. So I like using one with a slightly rounded edge to go around the top, and then another one which, whatever you want, but I like the rounded edge one around the top. And we're just doing a really like localised, we're not, at this stage, we're not going everywhere. I can just spot a couple of little air bubbles in that camera. We're paying particular attention to this top edge, and we're just doing really circular motions towards each other, and then back and forth.
I've got to be honest, I was happy with the edge you had before.
And this is it, like you might be absolutely over the moon with it, but and you can get a really...
I'm like, why don't you just leave it alone?
That's not what you pay me for. You can get a nice finish just using the other smoothers, but if you've got... So I've not like handled it a lot. I've not put any dents, dents. So if you've then put like dents in it, or you've pushed your fingers in it to move it around or anything like that, then these are going to be like, you're going to be able to sort of get rid of those with that. So we're just paying attention to that top edge.
So I've seen a few of you asking about the ganache. Now Rachel was here in the Sugar and Crumbs kitchen on Thursday night doing ganache with milk chocolate, and this morning she's done a session on white chocolate. Now those two programmes went through to our YouTube channel, so you can either watch us on our page afterwards, or you can leave us now and go and watch if you want to. So if you scroll down the page that you're on now, which is Sugar and Crumbs with Nifty Nozzles, scroll down, you'll see those last lives that we did. Just keep scrolling down till you find them. Or better still, just go to our YouTube channel, Sugar and Crumbs with Nifty Nozzles, and all the lives will come up in recent order. So just have a look there.
I'm just popping a little bit of corn flour.
Can't go through them again, we've done it once this morning. Rachel needs to go home.
Before I get an angry set of emails from people. So again, just keeping your eye out for any lumps and bumps that might be air pockets that you can just quickly go and see to. And do a section at the top, and then just take the one on the side and just go and smooth over that side. And the difference that you'll feel, especially if you have used icing sugar or corn flour, the difference that you'll feel, because this will remove any of that, it will be much smoother on a section that you've used this on to a section that you've just used this on, because it really sort of polishes like much finer, if that makes sense. I know, like polishing our cake, but it's a little bit strange, but it does make a difference, particularly if you are going to lustre. So lustre, if you've ever used it before, will show up any imperfections in your sugar paste. So if you're going to be lustering, definitely take the time to use these, because it will get rid of any of those minor imperfections that you can't see on a matte cake, but as soon as you paint lustre on it, it will show them all up. So yeah, I remember doing that for the first time, and I was like, oh, I thought I'd done such a good job. And it was because these hadn't been made yet. They weren't a thing. But yeah, definitely take the time to do this. And they're only a few, they're not expensive these, are they? They're a few quid. And
your husband's just popped up.
Has he?
He's wondering where you are, I reckon. Isn't it? He's just popped up now. I bet he's thinking, oh, she said she was only going for an hour. Hello, Richard.
I thought you said you were working today. Not watching Sugar and Crumbs.
Absolutely.
So I can feel this air bubble. I don't know if you can... I might do it on the front camera and just hold it close, Terry. Just on... I don't know if you can see. There's I don't know. It's just here, and it's definitely raised. It's quite a big bubble. It's like this size, and that is on the top of my cake. So I'm just going to. But you can't see. It's really difficult to see until you do this and you get down level with the cake, and then you're like, huh. It's like when you bump your head and you just get this weird egg.
What size ganache plate have you got that on there?
That's a 10.5 inch.
10.5 inch, Barbara.
So it gives you enough space to like be moving it around. So again, just go around that bottom edge and crisp up that bottom edge, because we're going to cut along there in a little bit, and we want that to be nice and defined so that we know exactly where we're going to cut. So that
you really go into it with this sharp edge business, don't you?
Well, yeah.
I was just thinking how perfect the cake looked before.
But if you're trying to do wedding cakes and like that's the look people want now, and it's like, yeah, you could go for a rounded look and things like that, but
it wasn't round.
No, I know.
It was round to you, but it weren't to me and Karen. It was as straight as anything.
I know, but that's what people want to learn. People like generally that, you know, they come to me and they're like, I just struggle with it, and I really, it is a thing that people struggle with, and they do obsess about it a little bit, and I totally get why. My cake designs they don't have a huge amount of, you know, not every surface area is covered. They are more pared back, and so people like a lot of my clients are just as bothered about the simple structure and the clean lines of the structure underneath all the decorations as they are the actual finished cake themselves. So
let me ask you a question, because you've brought 4 cakes in and they're all on ganache plates.
Yeah.
Do you just like using the ganache plates?
I have them. So
no, it's just a few ladies are thinking that they wouldn't mind some as well.
Yeah, they're really because they're nice and thick. They're
Because
sturdy.
There's 2 there.
No,
I think we've got one in the fridge over there, haven't we?
Yeah.
That's on a ganache plate.
I do have quite a collection.
Okay.
But so yeah, for me they're so easily cleaned. They're easy to store. That's the thing. Like I just have a drawer and they're all stacked on their end in them and they're not. You know, they're just. You can do anything on them. Like I use them all the time for stuff like non-ganaching stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're nice to have because they're easy. Like you could use cake boards and stuff, but obviously you do get them mucky in the cake boards. So.
I better start getting the ganache plates out.
I still think that my friend's wedding cake's going to look great with fabric puff on it.
I'm going to wind them all up now. Wait, let me show my ganache plates. Bought these many years ago. I was thinking of stocking them for sugar and crumbs. Let's wind them up.
What do you mean wind them up?
Oh.
Of course. Ta-da! You wouldn't be able to see though. You'd be like, "Where's the?"
Did you ever think they wouldn't be pink?
I was thinking about stocking pink ones, and then I'm not sure about it.
Why?
They'd look good on the grey boards.
Yeah.
They would. But yeah, they're just handy because they're sturdy enough for you to lift in.
I've never used them. They've been sat in
the
they've been sat in the cupboard then 6 years. At least.
It's just a work board essentially, like you know,
They look brand new.
for me to be lifting them in and out the fridge like your crumb coated cakes, and they can, you know, you're not trying to precariously move
I'll ask you a
anything.
question, because the guy I bought them off, he gave me 2 choices in sizes. Which would you go to? Thickness? Would it matter?
I think that would be fine.
Yeah.
I think that's 3 mil. That's similar
Yeah,
to this
okay.
one. The other
Yeah.
one, you're paying for thickness that you don't need. I think.
You've done a Geraldine there, haven't you? You
What?
got them because you needed them
Absolutely.
6 years
There's
ago.
loads of stuff in my cupboard because I needed them. Geraldine and I get on very well.
Do you know what?
Seems like Breeder Arnold's joining
Tell you
the
what,
gang as
if
well.
you start demoing on them like I'm doing now, people will be like, where are you
I know.
stocking them? Where are they on the
Someone's on
website?
here, oh my god, I need those pink ganache plates.
And who's that? Someone we know.
That's Michelle Ward. And then Viv wants one as well. Jackie Adams wants one.
See, there you go. Next product launch.
Do you want me to get them in? I can get them in if you want.
But yeah, then they can double up as ganaching plates and work boards, because that's what I use mine for, a bit of
I think
both.
it'd be a good work board one to go with my ganaching kit.
Yeah, it would. Well, I've used them when I've been using the ganaching kits, just to lift in and out the fridge with and stuff. So yeah, you definitely can.
The pink ones will go with the grey board.
Definitely.
Very nice.
Well, I must have had these 7 years. Not used once.
And it really is then,
And
it's
you
obvious
can tell
that it's a
there's
sugar.
like a scratch on it at all.
Has it still got the plastic coating on it that you've got to peel
I don't
off?
think I took that off.
Absolutely. Scratch free completely.
Well, I can't ganache, can I? So I just keep looking at them.
And stroking them.
Stroking them.
Like there's a few people stroking their grey boards at the moment, they're not even using them.
And because I couldn't ganache, I thought, I bought them thinking about ganaching, and then I just thought, I can't ganache.
Jill says Mimi. She wants some as well.
I don't know if this has got a
You
film
see that people
inside.
said they would use them, but not as ganaching plates. They'd use them as probably like what Rachel said, work boards.
Yeah.
They are dead handy, because obviously this is a great work board, but it's not, you're not going to be able to lift it up and put it in the fridge with something on it. So yeah, unless you've got like a massive fridge.
I'll see if I can get pink and grey ones.
Yes, please, Carol. To have different sizes, it'd be very handy.
Yeah.
They are dead handy.
Plus, when you was cutting the ice and sugar after.
Yeah.
It didn't touch the board.
No.
Yeah.
It just touched a ganache plate, that's
Yeah.
fine.
I'll see if I can get pink and grey ones.
But I use them like on my turntable, like if I'm
Yeah,
lustering,
yeah,
because you just
yeah.
wash it, you know, it's not going to wreck your turntable. Or if, I'm doing anything like that, attaching sprinkles, anything.
Lots of uses.
Anything you like. Anything you like.
A multi
Sandwiches.
Sandwiches, yeah. Crumpets.
Yeah.
So we're just going to make sure that bottom bit round, that bottom edge is nice and defined, because then we're going to take our knife and we're going to cut around it.
Yeah, Lisa Matusha says she always uses her ganache plates
Yeah,
as a workboard, especially when she's buttercreaming a cake.
yeah, me too. You'll have seen I used them on the last class quite a lot, because we were doing all them different tiers, and it means that you can just you've not got one workboard that you then like, that one's in the fridge, so now I've got, like, you can just keep grabbing another one from there, because usually they're sold in pairs as well, aren't they? So
Yeah.
you
I like
can,
the way you said about lustering then, because that is so much easier to clean than my pink board.
yeah, exactly.
We're all loving how lovely and sharp this is. Barbara and Ford says, so beautiful, Rachel. Viv Goddard says, how easy is it to lift the cake off the board to then put onto a cake board?
So I would leave this to set overnight. So you don't want to be moving this the same day, because you will put fingerprints on it. You can do, but then what I would do is do it sooner rather than later, before this starts to set up, so that if you put any fingerprints in it, you can just quickly go in and buff them out again. So if you are going to move it the same day, do it like now when it's ready to go, rather than leaving it a couple of hours. You either do it straight away, or you leave it like till the next day when it's firm enough up that, you know, you're less likely to put any fingerprints in it. But yeah, you can just pop a little, just get an offset spatula or the little PME one, just to kind of lift it a little bit off the board. And then because it's firmed up a little bit, I just gently support it at the back, and then just go and buff any fingerprint marks out.
So if you've been asking the grey board, what size is the best to purchase? I usually do 6 inch, 8 and 10 inch. Personally, I'd go for the extra large, because you'll regret not buying the extra large. Not everybody has room in their kitchen. I mean, we leave ours out all the time. I've got a couple of ladies, like Barbara Runcorn, her husband, he actually went to the local art shop and picked up a big art bag, so that she can store it in. Yeah, so that she can pop it in and store it in behind the settee, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's out the way. I think if you can afford to do it, invest in the extra large board. We've got 2 boards on the top here, only because when the large ones came in, we had to show you about the large ones, and then and now we like it as that space.
Yeah,
We've creeped over.
It's like that extra workspace, isn't it?
Yeah. The thing is, we've got this lovely worktop here, but it's got speckles of gold and silver in it, and then it reflects on the light, so we can't use it.
I've ordered the extra large one. I think if you're going to be rolling out sugar paste, you've got to have the extra large one.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Ganache boards are on our website if you're interested in ganache boards. The pink ones are not available. The ones that I have made for me as samples many years ago, and I did think, why on earth am I having these made? Nobody wants them. Then yeah, so I'll get back on it.
We've been inspired.
Pardon?
Sure.
Pardon?
It's inspired us.
Yeah.
There you
But
go.
the thing is, if you don't use it and you don't know much about it, like I just had these made, and then all I had to do was decide on the thickness, and then I've just put them away in that cupboard,
Yeah.
and then they've moved around the kitchen.
Cupboard to
They've been
cupboard.
in every cupboard, these.
That looks so good.
Well, now you can use them for stuff.
Yeah.
Awaiting the delivery of the sugar and crumbs ganaching ones.
Bernadette says she always manages to slice the sugar paste with the smoothers, but she does love them.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I've done that before. And you're like, oh, damn it. It's usually like when you're just about to finish and you do that, I'll just go in and do that last bit. And then you're like, I should have just left it. Shouldn't be tapping.
The smoothers are on our website. They're currently called at the moment Barina's Cake Smoothers. And yeah, Barina wanted to sell the brand, and John and I bought the brand off her. And we're going to be calling them Sugar and Crumbs Cake Smoothers, of course. But it will have a reference to Barina, just so that nobody thinks we've nicked the idea. So, but Barina has been paid. She's very happy. She's sent everything over.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, there we go. Thanks very much.
Love
That's
it.
great, that, isn't it?
Absolutely super.
Right, everyone.
What do you think of that? I mean, look at that sharp. You can slice your finger on that edge.
Don't. I will. Just move the knife.
Absolutely
Isn't that
gorgeous.
amazing? Well done.
So yeah, obviously then you've got your
And
lovely
that was a
blank
bonus
canvas.
session. You were only learning
Bruce
about
the
ganache
bonus.
kits.
Yeah,
I've
but
got some good news in. What do you think's arrived? What do you think's arrived?
The
John's just texted me.
the kits.
Oh, Wonder Dust.
Oh.
Wonder Dust has arrived with 5
Excellent.
new colours.
Woohoo!
So I'll get John to bring them home.
We might show you them, we might not.
Yeah. We'll show them you tonight.
You
We'll
can
see
use it
how
on
we
the
feel.
sugar paste. You can do some.
We'll see how we feel tonight.
Yeah, how generous you feel.
Oh, so all the Wonder Dust has arrived, ladies.
So, just gonna make sure that's nice and tightly wrapped.
It looks like there's 8 colours. We're one short. I don't know
Oh,
what's happened there. But anyhow, 4 more than we had before.
yeah.
Right, have you enjoyed your day here, Rachel?
Want me to cut
I
these?
do want you to cut these. You're not getting away. Are you cutting the old ones? Which one? Are they
These
the
are the
old
two
ones?
ones that I did
Right.
at home, yeah.
So I've asked Rachel, the very first week the ganache plates came, I asked Rachel, pass it me after it. So I asked Rachel if she would come up to the warehouse and pick up a ganache kit for me. And,
have a play.
pardon?
Had a play,
Have a
didn't
play. So she did these that week just to see. So she was the first ones to actually have a go. And anyhow, so we can't eat this cake. It's old cake. So I've asked her to actually cut it open. And if you see me over here, I'm trying to prize.
I can't even tell you.
getting the cake
It's
out.
coming out though. It's
Is it
moving,
coming
it's
out?
coming out.
Yeah,
It's
it is,
moving.
Yeah.
It's moving.
Oh, it is moving.
I can see the little bits coming out.
Right, okay.
That's
Just
the
to let you
next
know,
thing.
I'll stick it on my new ganache board then.
Oh, why not?
So, I'll show you. I'm going to unveil this after. Oh, it's clipped.
popping, it's
Unclipped.
popping.
She's nearly unveiled it then.
Oh, it's gonna come off now. Do you want
It's gonna hit me in the
Go on,
face.
I'll
No, it
Go on.
is.
Take the paper off.
You want me to take it off?
Yeah, you may as well.
It's gonna hit me.
So this is just with buttercream.
I love that funfetti.
Yeah. So this is buttercream. This is one I did this morning.
You're
So-
gonna flip it.
Pardon?
Peter Bull, this is what I did earlier.
that
Yeah,
on.
we do
Oh, I
sell
can't do
that.
that.
We do
I'm
sell
scared
that
of
black knife that Rachel's got there. We do sell that on our website.
I'm gonna cut.
Wow.
There we go. So this is one I did earlier, ladies. Do you want to get it on that turntable there for me?
There we go.
And you'll see that I put in some sprinkles.
That's such a heavy cake.
Okay.
Turntables really.
So I have got some spare buttercream here to fill in the holes. Which I might get Rachel to do.
I need to go. No.
Yeah, I got it. Don't worry, I'll do it. So what do we think of this then? So this is our funfetti cake done in a different way with the ganache plates. So I've done. I did this one this morning. I've got another one in. I'm not too happy about the way I melted the butter, but I did taste it and it tastes amazing.
Good.
They said, well done, Carol, that's
Yeah.
brilliant.
You know what
Nice, isn't it?
you need on that?
What?
A drip.
Yeah, I'm going to put the drip on it later on. Right. Good.
It'd just be nice with some funfetti piped swirls as well, wouldn't it? And sprinkles.
Yes.
Beautiful.
It would, yeah.
Your best one yet.
My best
Ah, see? We've gone
All
from
right,
rustic
Helen.
to your best one yet.
You've got that in first. You're the winner this today.
Who's that?
Helen Williams.
She's the
You've got
first.
it in first.
Okay,
So,
so
oh yes, let me take it out of the way.
there we go. So this was the 6-inch cake using the 7-inch tin with the foam liner. And they've been in the fridge, so they are solid. I'm like, I did take them out before. I thought I'll never be able to cut through them because they're solid. Yes, just gonna.
I haven't gone to the bottom, you know that.
I have. There's a board there. Isn't
Oh
there?
yeah, of course there's a board, isn't there?
Yeah, just gonna try and.
So what do you do then when you cut it? Oh, look at that. There you go.
There we go.
Look at that.
Ta-da! Let me just pop it in here so I can stop. Just gonna cut that off.
remember when you're cutting up, that bit has to come off.
Or you could just cut it like on the board cut your portions directly from the board. It's up to you.
Something like that. We'll get Terry take some pictures then later.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go. So these were the test ones that Rachel did. So when the ganache kits arrived, we got sent some samples, and like I say, I got Rachel to come up, and I said, yeah, get using them on ganache, because me and ganache I've never tried. There you go. How cool is that? Isn't that lovely, that? So how is the sponge on that?
It'll be dry by now. Yeah. And I think, well, it's difficult because it's cold, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's difficult to tell. But I know the amount of days ago that I did it, and it's just a normal Victoria sponge recipe. So it's quite an open textured sponge, so it will stale quicker than like a more dense sponge.
Are these 2 weeks old or 3 weeks old?
I think
because we've had the ganache kits now.
I think this one's 2 weeks old, and that one's just under 2 weeks old.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this one I even use leftover frosting with Trex in it. I think I can't remember now, but I think that's what I had in the fridge.
Yeah. So we can't eat these, so don't worry. But I'm going to put them back together, and I can show the ladies
but look
tonight.
they look neat though, don't they?
Really neat, yeah.
And
Very
we
nice.
just pop those in by hand.
Yeah.
Well, I did.
Yeah, we didn't do the fork method.
No. I know they say to do like in the demo they use the fork method, but I found it a bit more tricky to. And I think if you're doing bigger tiers, it's going to be trickier to pick up a bigger tier. You can just pop it in with your hands without any.
Yeah.
Worry about
I just realised I took that off. That was meant to be for the end of our video, wasn't it?
Put it back on. Oh god, you have to do another one. Okay, so this is the very first one I did. So this was the sick. This is solid. This has been in the fridge even longer.
This one nearly 3 weeks old.
That one's 2 weeks old. Yeah.
Yeah.
There
you go.
So there.
Yeah.
So you can see here how this tier was a little bit further over. This layer of cake was a little bit further over to the left. So when I popped it in, this was the very first one I did, and I was a bit all fingers and thumbs. This one's a little bit further over to the left.
Fork. Do you remember you said you'd done this one with the fork?
I did, yeah. Because I followed the instructions. Apart from we did it without the phone.
I remember having a conversation. You said I've done it with the fork, and I said I'm not doing it with the fork. And
I was like, I don't want to do it with the fork
I said,
either.
I'm not sticking it. I can't get my 2 hands and a fork in there. 2 forks. Okay.
But also, I think when I'm always like thinking, what happens if it's a 10-inch tier, and it's a lot to pick up with 2 forks, and you've only got 2 hands. So yeah, you just. But also, I know if, for example, when you're placing your cake in, and say, for example, different recipes lead to different. Like mine's quite a nice firm sponge because I'm used to doing tiered cakes, so I need that stability. But if yours is a more crumbly sponge and it starts to snap, or it starts to crack down one of the layers or something when you're placing it, don't worry about that. Keep going with it. The buttercream will seal it, and the ganache layer will hold it all together. So don't worry if it ends up cracking one of your layers or something when you're popping it in. Just keep going and make sure you've got an extra little bit of buttercream on there, and it will kind of hold it all together. But yeah, that's the 2 inedible ones we've deemed inedible. But yeah,
well done. So should we have a big round of applause for Rachel then? Come on then. The girl, she's only meant to be here 2 hours. No wonder her husband's been on the phone.
I don't even ask you what time it is.
He's been popping into, I don't know what time is it actually.
There's no clock in here. Just so you're all aware, there's no clock on the wall in here. This is how they keep you here for longer.
I said to Cal, if we get a clock in for the church, she went, oh no.
It's like when you go gambling in Vegas and you're like, you don't know whether it's day or night.
Yeah, it's tinted all the time. No, it's just the same, yeah.
Yeah, you're just like, I don't know, no idea. I've lost all track of time. But yeah, hopefully that's helped. And if you want to come and join me in my Facebook group, you're most welcome. And if you want to get signed up to the sugar pasting class, which is next month, then go to the website under shop and classes.
Well, they're impressed with the amount of ganache. It's a nice amount of ganache around the cake.
Yeah, this is what I would use as a standard when I use this 1/2-inch ganaching plate. So this is no more than what you would have on those, and every wedding cake I do has that amount of ganache on. So please don't be worried about that. It might be more than you think that you might have used, but just make sure that you cost it in. If you're selling your cakes, just make sure you cost that, the ganache element in, just as you would do any other ingredient. But yeah.
Well done, Rachel.
Well done,
Very
Rachel.
pleased. Right, very, very pleased. So we just want to say a big thank you for Rachel coming back to us today, because I did sort of
Course.
But I didn't ask her about the sugar paste. She threw
No, I
herself into
volunteered that
herself.
one. But it was so I could be like, sign up to the class.
Yeah, come and
The
sign
class
up
is
for a
live.
class because you'll enjoy a class. A last class, if you haven't done a last class, and lots of ladies are watching today, tell everybody how amazing it was because it was fantastic. And what you did in that class, 2 wedding cakes.
Oh,
which
we
was
did
brilliant.
a lot. And I know we were
Yeah.
worried, weren't we? We were like,
Yeah.
we're going to, but we were all right for time,
we were
weren't we?
fine
Yeah.
for time.
It was fine.
great.
So was it a 3-tier and a 2-tier?
It was, yeah.
It was.
So a 3-tier and a 2-tier in the introduction to wedding cakes. And Rachel's next class is introduction to sugar paste wedding cakes. So do sign up and join for it. Exactly, it's excellent. So quite a few ladies have already said that they're
Amazing.
signed up for
And
it.
that is
and
the 12th of April.
Thanks.
12th of April.
I was like,
is that the day? I remember that was 12th day. Is that the first day we all get let out?
That's the first. It's the first.
Is it?
It's
Oh no!
We're stuck in here.
But yeah, hairdressers are open, nail technicians are open. No viewers.
No viewers.
Oh my god!
Everyone's going to get the roots done.
I'll be like, where is everybody? All our hair will be wild. Nobody watching. Please watch. Please join us. You can go to hairdressers the next day. But yeah, I think that's about it for me. You're going to be doing buttercream, the
Yes.
buttercream versions after this.
Yeah.
We're doing a quick break now before we
Yeah,
do that.
we
Get
are.
tidied up, and then I'll be going, and Carol will be on with
So
you.
see you tonight then, Rach.
Like,
What time is it now, everybody?
nervous laughter.
It's 2:15.
I don't
Right,
think they let me
okay,
leave.
So should we say half an hour?
Yeah, 2:45.
2:45, we'll be back.
Okay.
Yeah? All right then. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, what do you think of our new video? Let me know while you're watching it.
Definitely.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.